Hi, welcome to part 2 of my top 10 prison films. So, just recapping part 1, in at number 10 we had Starred Up, the modern British film, bit of a top modern classic there. Number 9, Lock Up, the Sly Stallone, you've got to have an action one in. Number 8, The Hill, Sean Connery, Sidney Lumet, 1966. Number 7, Birdman Alcatraz, great Burt Lancaster film, got a Best Actor Oscar nomination for that. And number 6, controversially, The Shawshank Redemption. Okay, so coming in at number 5, I think this is like the modern classic. The 4 above this are films that I just, I've loved them a long time, but this is the film that stuck out to me. This is a really great prison film. So it's 2009's Prophet, directed by Jacques Audiard. Audiard, I think that's how you pronounce it. So it stars Taymar Rahim, who was in The Mauritian, and he recently was in The Serpent, which was the top series on BBC Two, which I really enjoyed. He's also in The Looming Tower. So he's very good actor. He's great in this. Basically, he plays a young Muslim guy. He goes into prison. He is kind of threatened, so he gets protection from the top mob guy. I think he has to duke someone. And what he does, because he's not as high category prisoner, eventually gets day release, and he goes out and does the mob boss's drug business, basically, outside prison. But basically, the way the story progresses, it's the way he gets brilliant on the outside at running the business, and then he turns the tables on his oppressors inside. Brilliant film, really good. If you've not seen it, check it out. Don't worry about subtitles, you'll be gripped. Superb. So that's my number 5 choice. Number 4, now I've kind of cheated a bit here because I put this in another top 10 recently. I put it in my British crime films, but it's more of a prison film. I've got to have it in. It's McVicar. I love this film. Stephen Burkoff's great. Daltrey's best ever performance. Great theme song. Free me. And I love the Geordie Newcastle references in it, because they end up what you think is probably Durham prison. Ronnie! Great. I think this is my favourite depiction of like British prison life. I think it's really good. Adam Faith's really good. Always loved it when I first saw it in the 80s, and still like watching it now. So McVicar, number 4, and interestingly based on the real life criminal John McVicar, and that's the classic thing. He did rehabilitate himself inside. He did a degree and came out and became like a university lecturer, wrote books and stuff. So it's that argument, do you lock prisoners up to dehumanise and punish them, or do you lock them up as punishment but try and rehabilitate them? And that's something that's always explored in these films. I think it's got a riot bit as well in it. It has. So coming in at number 3, this could easily have been number 1. Another bastard warden in this. One of the great bastards. What we have here is failure to communicate. It's Cool Hand Luke. So Stuart Rosenberg again. So the director who directed Brubaker, who I mentioned before. Not a massively successful director, but had a good career. He had a partnership with Paul Newman, and they made 4 films together. But this was the most successful one. Newman got a Best Actor nomination for it. He probably should have won. It's got those great images of the boss with the reflecting sunglasses, which I think were used on adverts later on. Newman's fantastic. George Kennedy's fantastic. Won the Best Supporting Actor nomination. And it fits into the Vietnam era and the era of the hippie, really, because the Cool Hand Luke character is not hippie or anything, but he's anti-establishment. He doesn't want to toe the line with the authority. He wants to stick it to the man, basically. There's a great bit where he eats the eggs, and he does his various escapes, and at the end's really tragic. But the start as well, when he's just drunk, and a great piece of acting by Newman where he, he's just robbing the parking meters, and then he's drunk, just sat on the sidewalk, and the cop car pulls up, and Newman's got the look on his face like, why the fuck did I do this? It's like he's done it, and then he's like, what'd you do that for? You could see it in his face. So Cool Hand Luke, great film, loved it. That's at number 3. Looking at kind of what they're doing as chain gangs, really. I can't remember if they're chained up, but they would have been very brutal. Not a system that wants to rehabilitate. Number 2, so I found out, I was looking recently, allegedly, I think the director and star fell out on this film, which is a real shame because they had a great partnership. And another thing pointed out, is quite minimalist, and again, like A Man Escaped, you can see that kind of pared downness in this. Probably got the greatest prison warden in this. He's not as big a bastard overtly as some of the other ones I mentioned. But there's just something really cruel about this. Is Patrick McGowan's playing the one, of course, it's Escape from Alcatraz. So Don Siegel directed in 1979, one of Clint Eastwood's best starring roles. Before, when I knew Clint Eastwood but before I was old enough to go to pictures and see a film like this, I remember going past the cinema, my local cinema in Kendal, and the poster was up for Escape from Alcatraz, just Clint's face, through that crack in the wall. Really cool. There's an awful bit as well where you've got the guy Doc who's paints, and that's part of his therapy, and how he gets by, and then they take away his painting privileges, so he kind of basically destroys his own hand. Great escape sequence, really tense. Really kind of breaks down the sort of escape thing and the atmosphere in the prison. The film on Alcatraz for real. I don't know why Eastwood fell out. Maybe he wanted a more conventional thing. I don't know, but it's actually the way this is done. It's kind of plays stuff down, and it's all the better for it. And I think it's a film that gets better with age. I think it's one of Eastwood's best. It's one of his best performances. And Siegel's a master director, really. I think people forget how good Don Siegel was. And he's one of those guys, he just knew how to make films economically. And filmmakers need to look at Don Siegel, look how he did it, and make shorter films will be more economical. Anyway, besides me number 2, so let's recap 10 to number 2, and then I'll give you my number 1. So number 10, we had Start Up. Number 9, Lock Up. Number 8, The Hill. Number 7, Birdman Alcatraz. Number 6, Shawshank Redemption. Number 5, A Prophet. Number 4, McVicker. Number 3, Cool Hand Luke. And number 2, Escape from Alcatraz. So my number 1 prison film, I think this is the one that I've gone back to more. I think it's always had an emotional appeal to me. It stars one of my favourite stars of all time, 2 of my favourite actors. It's one of the other films in the director's oeuvre that is, I think, a classic. His other film that you'll know is an absolute classic. It's one of the great films in its genre. So the film is Papillon. This is my number 1 prison film of all time. Steve McQueen, Dustin Hoffman, and Franklin J. Schaffner, who did Planet of the Apes, and one of my other favourite films. So I love this film. I saw it as a kid. Love McQueen, obviously, from The Great Escape and Bullet. But it's just a real emotional wrench in this. The warden's a bit of a bastard, as usual. Obviously, they're on Devil's Island, the French penal colony. I forget which part of the world it's in. And McQueen and Hoffman, they form a friendship. Great. I mean, you can't imagine sort of the star wattage in this film. I mean, I can't think of a film that has this star power in the modern era. Maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt. Okay, that would come close to the wattage. McQueen's the biggest star in the world, and Hoffman's coming off The Graduate, Midnight Cowboy. So he's pretty big. But this is it's great, and the ending's generally moving. McQueen, I remember sort of filling up, because it was like he was leaving his friend, I think, because. The Hoffman character, he just thinks he's joking about his coconuts. He's really old, and he's like, "Don't do it, you'll die." And then they sort of embrace, and then McQueen jumps off. It's great, and then he's just floating. And obviously, you actually know he gets away if there's a book Papillon. But he goes, "I'm still here, you bastards." I just love that defiance, and again, it taps into Steve McQueen's star persona. Really, again, that rebel thing about that outsider, about challenging authority and not playing by the rules, which you see in The Great Escape and so on. So I love this film. It's really well directed, beautiful Jerry Goldsmith score, and then haunting ending with the score and the titles just playing over images of the real Devil's Island. So great stuff, and that's my number 1 prison film of all time, Papillon. So thanks for watching this. Remember, share and subscribe, and might see you again. Thank you.